All right, so today we're going to look at the different ways that you guys need to be able to use synthetic division and how you can just tell that you need to use it based on the directions. So if we look at number one, okay, it just tells us to factor. So of course we try grouping because grouping is going to be the easiest. Now, it's kind of easy to realize that over here you can probably end up with 6x minus 7, but over here you're not going to get 6x minus 7. So factoring will not work by grouping. So we have to have another alternative, and that alternative is to use synthetic division. So we start with our possible rational zeros. I don't know why that popped up. Let's try it again. Our possible rational zeros, I call them PRZs. So we want to take all of the factors of our constant, which is 30, so plus or minus factors of 30, divided by all of our factors of our leading coefficient, which is plus or minus factors of 6. We can write all of these out, and it is going to take a long time. And you guys have already done that with long division and in other days. So I'm going to show you just how to figure out one quickly if we give you the use of a calculator. So if you open up your calculator, and we actually go to, hold on, let me clear this out, and we go to y equals, and we type in this graph. That's our equation that they gave us, 6x cubed minus 7x squared minus 43x plus 30. If we graph it, this is the graph I'm going to get. Now, a possible rational zero, a zero is an x-intercept on the graph. So if you look, I don't know necessarily where this zero is. I don't know where this zero is, but it looks like this graph hits the x-axis right here at 3. So I'm going to assume that 3 is a 0. That's going to save me a lot of time. So what I can do is I'm going to try synthetic division, and I'm going to put a 3 in here. Okay, now let's, up top, I'm going to put my coefficients. So I see 6, negative 7, negative 43, and 30. And if I do this right, I should get 0 at the bottom. So let's do it. First number drops, 6. Then I multiply, I get 18. I add these, I get 11. Multiply, I get 33. Add them, I get negative 10. Multiply, I get negative 30. When I add them, I get 0. So the fact that I got 0 verifies that 3 is a solution for me. Okay? All right, that's what I want to see. So now the idea here is, let's see, how do I turn this into factors? So the first factor I got was 3. Okay, that was technically a solution. So to turn that into a factor, it becomes x minus 3. The second part is what I got down below after the result of the synthetic division. These numbers turn into my second factor. Okay, so the 6 becomes 6x squared. The 11 is plus 11x, and then I have a minus 10. So now my job is just to factor these. Okay, I can't factor x minus 3 anymore, so that's done. How about 6x squared plus 11x minus 10? I'm going to factor this using splitting the middle term. So when I multiply these, I get negative 60. And are there factors of negative 60 that add up to 11? And there are. So I would get 6x squared. I'm going to split this up using a positive 15x and a negative 4x minus 10. Okay, now I can group these. Out of the first two, I can take out a 3x. That will leave me with 2x plus 5. Out of the second grouping, I can take out a negative 2, which will leave me with 2x plus 5. Grouping worked because my parentheses matched up. So I get 2x plus 5. What's left over is my other factor, which is 3x minus 2. And then don't forget that x minus 3 in the beginning. And there we go. All right. So let's use these techniques to make these processes go a little bit faster. Okay. Number 2 Doesn't say to factor, it says to solve. Well, we want to solve by factoring it first. I'll just tell you right now, grouping is not going to work. So I'm going to go straight to synthetic division. Okay. I'm going to put my coefficients up top. I got a 3, 7, negative 17, and a 12. And in this, I need a solution. So if I have the use of a calculator, I can go ahead and graph it. So I'm going to push y equals. Let me turn y1 off. That was the first problem. y2, I've already got it entered in here. Here is our equation. So when I graph this function, this is what it's going to look like. Now, to me, 1, 2, 3, it looks like it's hitting the x-axis at -4. It only looks like it's hitting it once at -4, so that's the only one I have a chance to use. So let's see if -4 works. We put in -4 in our box, and we start synthetic division. First number drops, 3. Multiply, -12. Add them, I get -5. Multiply, get 20. Add those, I get 3. Multiply, I get -12. And when I add again, I get 0. That's what we want to see if we're solving, okay? All right, so again, now that I have a 0 here as my remainder, let's take all of these values that are out here and let's show you guys how to write them. So the -4 as a factor becomes x plus 4. And then here, the 3, the -5, and the 3, that'll give me 3x squared minus 5x plus 3. Okay? I would like to try to factor these a little bit more. So if I'm using, let me erase this. I'm going to try to use grouping again, or sorry, splitting the middle term. So if I multiply these, I get 9. But the problem is there's no factors of 9 that add up to -5. So I can't factor this quadratic anymore. So if the directions said to factor, I would technically be done here. There would be nothing left for me to do. However, the directions didn't say to factor. They were telling me to solve. So in order to solve, I'm going to take x plus 4, set it equal to 0, and I'll get x equals -4. That one's nice and easy. To solve this one, I need to use the quadratic formula. So don't forget that we learned these in chapter 2. So let's do it. X equals the opposite of b, which is 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared. If I square -5, I get 25, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. I'm going to try to smash this in here. So I want you guys to focus on the square root first. This is 25 minus 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. So I get 25 minus 36 over 6. Okay, 25 minus 36 is -11 over 6. And I can't reduce the square root of -11. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out that negative and make it imaginary. So 5 plus or minus I root 11 over 6. Those are 2 of my answers. And don't forget, I also had the -4 here as well. Okay, so because it said to solve, not only did I have to use synthetic division, but I had to keep factoring and using the quadratic formula as we went. Okay, so here's the first 2 videos, how to factor and solve using synthetic division. And then I want you guys to click on the next video to get an explanation of the rest of the problems.